The footage you're about to see was never meant to be released. Viewer discretion is advised.
Our next tale is titled The Shadow of Raven Hotel, written by our user Stardust Tears. Caleb gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white against the worn leather. Beside him, Leo fought back a yawn, his eyes drooping as they hurtled down the endless ribbon of highway. Now, as they sped away, the highway blurring into an ominous tunnel, they couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched, hunted even. Caleb dared not turn around. The image of the decaying grandeur, the spectral figures that seemed to peer out from the dusty windows, was burned into his mind. In the back seat, Maya and Alara huddled together, their whispered conversation laced with nervous energy. An unnatural silence descended, heavy and suffocating, broken only by the hum of the engine and the soft thud of tires on the road. They drove on, each mile of victory over the encroaching darkness. The oppressive weight in the car slowly eased, replaced by a fragile hope that they had outrun the horrors of Al Ghurble. But that hope was a treacherous mirage shimmering on the horizon of their terror. For the moment they believed they had escaped, the nightmare began to follow them home. The solace of daylight was tainted by the looming shadows cast by the spectral residents of Al Ghurble. Each day brought new horrors, new whispers, new faces from the past that peered at them from the corners of their vision. The full moon, a ghastly orb, hung low, casting long, distorted shadows that danced with the flickering glow of the dashboard lights. The apparitions drew closer, their voices grew louder, their touch more insistent. And the friends found themselves at the mercy of the vengeful spirits that had been awakened, but also the architects of their own demise, the tormented souls who had perished within the walls of Al Ghurble. With a final, gut-wrenching scream, the trapped souls of Al Ghurble claimed their eternal prize, dragging their terrified witnesses into the abyss. The sun rose on an empty city. The houses stood silent, the doors gaping voids where screams had echoed. The shadow of Raven Hotel loomed, still watching, still waiting for its next victims, its grip on the mortal realm as unbreakable as its hold on the ethereal plane. Some secrets, once unearthed, can never truly be buried. For some doors, once opened, can never truly be closed. And some horrors, once awakened, can never truly be laid to rest. Trapped in their own homes, they fought to hold on to their sanity, desperately trying to shut out the voices, to ignore the ghostly presences that loomed at the edge of their vision. It happened during a stormy night when the wind howled like a banshee and the rain lashed against the windows, mimicking the frantic beat of their hearts. For as the storm raged on, so did the horrors that unfolded within the confines of their own homes. Objects moved on their own, spectral fingers tracing paths of terror through the darkness. Doors creaked open as if inviting the phantoms from beyond to enter and claim what was theirs. And then there were the voices, no longer whispers, but loud, clear pronouncements that echoed through their homes, each word a nail hammered into the coffin of their sanity. They spoke of anguish and betrayal, of lives cut short and dreams left to wither. They told stories of a love lost and a love forbidden, of secrets buried deep within the walls of Al Ghurble and the curse that followed those who dared to tread its hallowed halls. As lightning illuminated the darkness, they saw them, the ghostly figures from their nightmares made flesh, standing in the rooms, their faces pale masks of sorrow and torment, their eyes hollow pits of despair. Days turned into nights, and still the specter of Al Ghurble loomed large in their thoughts. Her heart pounded against her ribs as she strained to listen. Then, carried on the faint tremor of the floorboards, she heard it again, a whisper, barely audible, yet filled with an otherworldly sorrow. The room began to spin, the walls pressing in, the ceiling a suffocating dome. Then, as the first rays of dawn pierced through the darkness, the ghosts coalesced, taking shape in the flickering light. And in that moment, their terror knew no bounds. The friends found themselves ensnared in a terrifying game orchestrated by the malevolent entity that haunted the Civ. It was a twisted test of their sanity, a descent into a world where the boundaries of reality blurred and the echoes of the past reverberated with chilling clarity. It seemed to slither through the walls, weaving tales of pain and despair. Fear, cold and clammy, gripped her. She wasn't alone. Something, or someone, was in the apartment above her. Sleep offered no escape, for there, in the murky depths of their dreams, they relived the haunting scenes from the hotel. Whispered voices, spectral figures, and the ever-present dread of being watched. He risked a glance at his companions. Their faces, pale and drawn in the dim light, were etched with a mixture of fear and exhaustion. The whispers seemed to emanate from the darkness beyond the car windows, slithering through the cracks in the glass, seeping into their sanctuary. They slithered through the cracks in the walls, weaving tales of tragedy and loss. Then the apparitions began to appear, fleeting glimpses of spectral figures at the edge of their vision. They saw the gaunt face of a woman in the mirror, her eyes hollow sockets reflecting their own terror back at them. They felt the brush of icy fingers on their skin, heard the rustle of ghostly whispers in the dead of night. As if sensing their mounting terror, the whispers grew louder, morphing into chilling wails that tore through the night. Each mile marker that passed offered little comfort. The unsettling sensation of dread intensified, pressing down on them like a leaden sky. Then came the whispers, barely audible murmurs that slithered through the quiet car, weaving tales of suffering and sorrow. They spoke of lives cut short, of dreams left shattered, of souls trapped within the labyrinthine halls of Al Ghurble. It had been 2 days since they fled Al Ghurble, the Civ, a relic of a bygone era nestled amidst the desolate plains of Jordan. But the oppressive atmosphere of the haunted hotel hadn't lifted. It clung to them like a shroud, seeping into their bones and chilling them to the core. The moment they stepped into the ramshackle lobby of Al Ghurble, its malevolent presence had coiled around them like a constrictor, whispering tales of despair and tragedy. As night fell, the desolate landscape became a menacing tableau, the jagged silhouette of distant mountains like grasping claws against the bruised sky. Caleb's grip on the wheel tightened. Then, as abruptly as it began, the cacophony ceased. A sudden crash from the floor above her sent a jolt of fear through her. Back in the city, ensconced in the familiar comfort of their apartments, they tried to piece together the fragments of their shattered lives. One evening, as Maya sat alone in her darkened apartment. In the weeks that followed, the whispers grew bolder, more frequent. And as the veil between the living and the dead grew thin, the trapped souls of Al Ghurble reached out from beyond the grave, desperate to be heard, desperate to be freed. Their nightmares became shared experiences, their waking hours filled with a growing sense of dread. Then came the turning point when the line between the ethereal realm and their own reality was obliterated. But the sight of the ghosts was only the beginning. And as the night wore on, the horrors reached their crescendo. With each passing hour, their grip on reality slipped. But the relentless spirits wouldn't be denied, for standing before them were not just the apparitions from their nightmares.